Okay, so last time we saw, again, we were continuing and thinking about the word Malkam, that Hashem is the Malkam for the world. So he brought from Sefer Yitzira, right, the idea of this Ratzoi V'Shov, that you run in, get a glimpse of an idea, right, and then return back to the parables, to more physical-like things that allow you to compare Hashem and to something tangible, right? So, because if you don't ground it, then you're gonna get completely confused, I guess, and you're gonna think thoughts that are inappropriate. But you get to Ratzah, you get to glimpse and come back, glimpse and come back. That's one. And then he said that that again, to keep in mind that one of the ideas in Moshel in Mokum is that Mokum is not changed by the things that it contains, but that it holds. So too, Hashem is not changed, is not affected by the world that He created. He's the place for the world, but He is not changing. Is one, a complete simple oneness. Okay, so therefore we have no real understanding of what is the essence of Hashem and what exactly does it mean. To truly understand of what does it mean that Hashem is the Malkam of the world, we won't really understand. Only He knows. Good. V'alzu hakavona. Now we continue. V'alzu hakavona. This is in Perek Beis and Shar Gimel. V'alzu hakavona dorchu Rabbeinu Zal Hakadoshim. And with this intent, our rabbis, our holy rabbis, paved the way. Lahamshel misholim, to establish parables regarding the connection, the attachment of Hashem to the worlds. Even though there is no real comparison between the moshel, the parable, v'animshel, the thing that is being expressed by the parable, but only through some singular aspect. And even within the singular aspect, it's still limited. Okay, and here's an example. Just like they wrote in the Zohar in Parshas Pinchas, the following. So he's going to be like cutting sentences short here. But ve'is leminda, and you should know, kegavna do boru nishmos. In a similar vein, he created the neshama, and he makes the comparison between the neshama and Hashem, as we already came across such a comparison. Umari boin almin. And just like the master of the worlds, Leisley Shem Yadia, he has no true known name, right? V'loy Asar Yadia, and no true known place. Asar means place in Aramaic. Ela b'chol star shaltonuse. Rather, in every direction, he has mastery. Shaltonus, like sultan, shaltonus. So it's shaltonuse. He has mastery. Avhochi, so too, Leislo Nishmoso, etc. So too, there is no to neshama, meaning a dimension or a picture or a physical form. Ela b'chol star shaltanusa. Rather, the neshama has control, mastery of over the entire body in every direction. Leis aver panui mina. There is no aver. There is no organ that is empty of her, of the neshama. Right, so here's different. I mean, if you remember, previously, neshama was seated mostly in the moyach, in the brain. Over here, this part of the Zohar, again, these are things that we don't know much about, but this part of the Zohar says that every molecule, every cell in your body is filled by the neshama. Right? So again, I'm not sure what that means, but neshama completely encapsulates the entire body. Right? B'chol inun shmohon v'kinuyin, and then he continues again. Different part of that same Zohar is b'chol inun shmohon, on all of these names, v'kinuyin and appellations. Iskiri al shem kol almin. Right? When we attribute different Hashem's names, that's related to some particular shem kol almin, on some name that's related to a certain world. Leischazo shultanuse alayhu, in which he expresses or displays his mastery over those worlds, right? So the name connects to a particular expression of Hashem within the world, and that's his mastery over that aspect. So in similar way, Nishmasa, the Neshama al Shaltanusa, has also is expressed by her mastery. The chol evorim the gufa, because all of the organs of the body, am still lo legabe. They are like parables to him. So meaning so when this is referring to, again, when we say, we could also say this is, since the neshama is in everybody, so we say this is the hand of the neshama, right? Even though the neshama has no physical form, but will still symbolize with, because the neshama does, what's the word, fill up the entire body. So to Hashem, we will refer to Hashem in different attributes because he fills up the entire creation. Lav de damyo leihi be'atzma, even though not that we compare directly the neshama to Hashem, the hu barola, because he created her, right? He created the neshama, so he is the creator and she's the created. V'oid, etc. Ubegin do ihi damyo legabe b'sholtanusa dilo. And only in this aspect she is compared to him in her mastery over the body. I'll call Evari the Gufa, upon all the organs of the body, but not in any other way. I'm making the comparison between the neshama and the Hashem. Right? Meaning, don't think that, neshama is such a spiritual thing, so Hashem is made of the same substance as the neshama. Obviously, that's not true, okay? So we know this. But then the idea is that just like the neshama resides in every part of the body and has control over the body, so too Hashem fills the entire creation and has control over the entire creation. And we, as a way of a symbolism, we refer to Hashem within different aspects of creation in certain different ways. So to the neshama, like to compare it to different parts of the body. Good. Again, look there in great length. And similarly, kol advorim shemonu Chazal. Similarly, all the things that Chazal, that the Chachamim, the sages, list shom over there be'inyan histamuso yizborach la neshama v'guf, in regards to comparison of Hashem to the neshama of the body. Hakol hu rak al inyan hispashtuso yizborach shmoi ba'alamis. That's only again in the aspect of Hashem's expanding or filling up all of the entire creation, all the worlds, umimalam, and filling them up, ushlitoso aleihim, and his control over them. Shirak b'dover zeh levad mizdamin b'inyonim. Only in this aspect can they be compared. Oh, good. V'chein Romzuneh is going to bring a similar quote, which I'm not quite sure. He kind of takes it out of context. I'm not sure what the context is over there. V'chein Romzu b'tikunim soif talach omru the ishtama kole v'dibure, that it should begin. It's in the middle of talking over there. The ishtama, that it should be heard, his voice and his speech min kirsaya, from the kisei hakoved, umalachaya, and his angels, ushamaya ve'ara, and the heavens and the earth, the ishtamoidun leibekolo, they should be aware of everything in all. I'm not sure how to translate that. That he should be known to them in everything. They should be known to them in everything. Okay, whatever that means. But that's not the point that he wants to bring out. Right? But this point, the next part is what he wants. Eilo v'sata, above and below, kinishmoso d'sholtanusu b'chol gufa. Hashem is like the neshama who has mastery over the whole body. Afilu be'ever ze'ir, even in the smallest organ. V'leis ever panu minan. There is no organ that is empty of the neshama. Okay, so again, the only comparison only ones from here is that the only comparison we make between the neshama and Hashem is that neshama fills the body, Hashem fills the world. Okay, there's no place without Hashem. So right. So daik be'omroi, also just keep in mind that even in that comparison it says kid neshmoso d'sholtanusa, like the neshama in her mastery. So it's not exactly the neshama, but it's kind of like the neshama. So even in that direct comparison, it's not a complete comparison, right? Even though in this that we say that just like the neshama fills up the whole body, that in similar vein Hashem fills the whole world, right? Again, he brings from the other mimer that we said before. There is no, I should be panuimina. There's no aver empty of him. V'shom betikun b'chol aver ihu havaya, and over there in a different place again, b'chol aver, in every aver ihu havaya, Hashem is there. again, over here now we're kind of mixing up a little bit, because we mentioned once upon a time that the world is often portrayed as a large man, just like a man is a small world, right? We kind of discussed that before. So over here also, it's meaning there are kind of limbs or organs of the world, and Hashem fills up those organs just like the neshama does. Leis asar panui minei, so there's no place empty of him. Kinishmoso, like the neshama d'ishtakachas b'chol ever ve'ever de gufa, which is found in every single organ or limb of the body. So again, it's just similar. Again, this is just repetition of the similar quotes, but this is the punchline. Ein inyan milui HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We do not mean to say that the filling up of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as the oilam of the world, ki inyan milui haneshama as haguf, is exactly similar to the filling up of the neshama through the body. Shim kol zeh gam haguf yeshno la'atzmei choitzes b'fanei, because the guf itself, by itself, is choitzes b'fanei, meaning it creates a chatzitza. It's a separate entity in regards to the neshama. Rak mispashetas b'pnimius kol protech alokav u'mekaimai. Right, the guf was created, and the neshama came to fill it. Right, the guf is only a vessel that contains the neshama, and once the neshama fills it, it fills every single, it permeates it completely. Good. She'arei gam b'tzeis neshama, when neshama leaves me'aguf from the body, ein haguf mizbatal yidei zeh mimitzias. The guf does not cease to exist from existence. Aval Adon Kol, but the master of everything is Baruch Shmoi Hu Mole Es Kol Olam Esvani. He fills up all of the worlds and all of the creations. Ve'enam choitzitzim chalila negdoi is Baruch Klal be'emes. But in truth, be'emes, they don't create a chatzitza, God forbid, against them. Meaning they do not. Their existence is not what's the word? Does not create an independent existence. It's existence that emanates from within him, and so it's kind of him in just perhaps in a different form for now. Let's say it like that.
Not a separation.
Right. It's not a separation. Right. Ve'ein oid milvadoi is going to talk about this pasuk. This is a quote from a pasuk. Ve'ein oid milvadoi. There's nothing besides him. Is Baruch Shmoi. Mamash. Exactly, shum dover. There is nothing besides him. Nothing, no one thing. Klal at all, b'chol oilomes, in all of the world, of all of the worlds. Meha elyon shebel yonim, from the loftiest of the lofty, ad hatoim atachton, to the deepest of the deep, shebetoimas haaretz, and the depths of the earth. Ad shetucha loimer, until you could say she'ein kan shum nivra v'oilom klal, to such a degree that there is no creation and world at all. That's what we were talking before, until if you take it to the point that in reality there is no creation at all. There is nothing that exists because
we're part of him.
Because we are him, right? Rak hakol mole atzmus achdusoi, right? Really, everything is filled with his essence and his oneness, haposhut, which is completely simple, is Baruch Shmoi, blessed be his name, right? So again, when we say Hashem Echad, we have to keep in mind that we mean not that Hashem is one and not two. We have to keep in mind that oneness means simplicity, complete oneness, complete unity, complete no change. Because if there's change, that's already two states. So there can be two states of Hashem. Hashem is complete one single state, whatever that state is that we have no access to. Okay, va'ayin rokeach. And look at Rokeach. So Rokeach is one, at least that's what I think it means. Rokeach is Rabbi Eliezer from Vermaiza. Is one of the early Rishonim, one of these groups of Hasidei Ashkenaz, of the saintly ones, the pious ones of Ashkenaz of Germany, right? That he was a student of Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid was the central figure in these people, in this group of people called Hasidei Ashkenaz, and Rabbi Eliezer Rokeach is also one of the signs of that type of learning. Rabbi Eliezer Rokeach wrote numerous for him. He wrote, like a lot of gematrias. If you've seen his svarim, there's like gematrias, like no end. And but also a lot of mysticals for him, a lot of halachics for him. He's like a very central figure, even though he had a very difficult life. So Rabbi Eliezer from Vermaiza. Vermaiza is the Yiddish way of saying Worms, which is a city in Germany. So So Rebbe Eliezer Rokeach, and so he lived about, let's say, late 1100s, early 1200s.
Okay. Soon after Rashi.
So, well, Rashi lived from 1040 to 1105.
Okay.
1040 to 1105. Eliezer Rokeach, not sure when he was born, but 11, I'm not sure. Say 1170s to 1240, something, 1230, something like that. That time period. Like an 11, like closer. I mean, it's scary, but he was attacked during one of the crusades. I don't know which crusade, because crusades. The first crusade was in like 1096. Second crusade was in 1149, and then this must have been the third crusade. Okay, like 1196, where so he was learning, and two guys burst into his house, beat him up, beat his son up, killed his wife, killed his daughter, killed two daughters. His 13-year-old daughter they killed his 6-year-old daughter, like smashed their, like he describes in his somewhere, and I see that like some he composed like sad. I mean, it's scary stuff. Anyways, so that was that was that. So okay, so let's see what he writes. So va'ayin rekeach v'soiv shorish kedusha sayichud. Look at the rekeach in his the root of the holiness of the oneness. Haboirei einoi tzorich lemokim emochen. Hashem does not require a place or a foundation. Ki hoya koidem kol heyos. He existed before anything existed. Right. So this is what you were alluding to before, that he's above time. Ve'ein kiros ve'hakoiros choitzitzin lefonav. So there are no walls or separation that create a chatzitza before him. Kilahoya boirei dover shu mazi kinegdo, because he would not create anything that would be mazik, means damage him, but means he would have to share his existence with, so to speak. He's oneness, so he cannot create anything that now he is to kind of. Okay, here I stop. I only have domain till here now. Again, even though, as we'll see from our perspective, that's what it is, because remember if we were talking, because Hashem, if he gives us free will, that means he gave us the choice to do wrong. If he gave us choice to do wrong, that means he says, I'm not getting involved. So he is. So again, there's going to be this paradox as we unfold this chapter. Okay, so we continue in Perek Gimel. Okay, v'hu inyan hakosov. Now he gets into it a little more. V'hu inyan hakosov. This is what the pasuk is speaking. Haloyas hashamayim ves ha'oretz hanimolei. Do I not fill the heavens and the earth? V'yoyser meforish m'Mishnah Torah. And there's been a better and a more explicit pasuk in Mishnah Torah in Sefer Dvarim. V'yadata hayom asher you'd know to dovash. Right, we say this in Aleinu v'ashiroisa l'levavecha, and you should return this to your heart. Ki Hashem hu ha'elakim. Hashem is Lord. Right, Hashem hu ha'elakim. Hashem is the Lord. B'shamayim yima'al, up in the heavens above. Ve'al ha'oretz mitachas, and down in the earth below. Ein oid, there is nothing but Him. Right? So again, this is one of the essential psukim that express the oneness of Hashem. V'chein, and in a similar pasuk, Ato harei soladas, you were shown to know, ki Hashem hu Elokim, Hashem is the Lord, ein oid milvadoi, there is nothing besides Him. V'hu mamash k'mashmoi. This pasuk is to be taken literally. She'ein oid milvado yisbarach klal. There is nothing besides Him at all. B'shum bechina, not in any aspect. Unekuda protis, not in any particular dot, so to speak, direction. Shebechol alomis, in all of the worlds. Elyonim v'tachtonim, above and below. V'abriyo is kulam, in all of the creations. Rak atzmus achdusoi haposhot yisbarach shmoi levad. There's only His essential oneness. That's all that exists.
Yep.
Okay, let's see as this unfolds. Again, we'll have to process this more as we go along. V'hu pnimio isamoram zal v'dvorim rabba parsha beis. And I don't fully understand this medrash because he's not quoting the whole thing. Dover achar, another pshat is on this pasuk, Hashem hu elakim, Hashem is the Lord. Yisro nos and mamash, Yisro understood it literally. I'm not sure Rochav, again, I don't know what role they play, but Moshe came samohu av b'chalolei shalolim. He placed him even into the space of the world, chalolei, the space of the world. Shenemar ki Hashem b'shmayim al v'oretz mitochas ein oid. Mahu ein oid afilu b'chalolei shalolim. Even in the space of the world. Okay, in other words, like that's what he understands from this medrash is that the world, when we say there's nothing besides him, even in the world, meaning even the world, chalolei shalolim, even the entire space that the universe takes up, there's nothing besides him in that space as well. In other words, its existence is a mirage of sorts. This is also included in their statement, when we say that Hashem is the place for the world, but we also say the reverse, whether the world is not his place. Even though there are all these places, even though that any typical place which is tangible, like this table is a place, right? They're not these places. The place itself is not an essence. Rather, him Hashem is hu hamokam shel kol hamekomis. He is the place of all places. Shemitzidoi is baruch from his perspective. If we look from his perspective, nechshavim kulom ki'ilu einam. We look at, they're considered as if they are not. They don't exist, but Mitzvah is called in existence at all. Gam ato kekoidem abriya. Right now, just like before the creation. So, the creation, after the creation, is really just like it was before the creation, which it did not exist. So, how do we figure that out? I don't know. But we'll have to go along. Okay, but he's going to give this important introduction. Remember, I already told you that, right, in the beginning of our words, right, that the words of the sages are compared to coals, right, that you have to analyze them and dissect them, but you have to also keep in mind, you have to also be very careful with their coals, right? This is from Pirkei Avos, right? Be careful with the coals, meaning with the statements of the sages. They should not go in and contemplate and dissect more than sufficient. And these are the things that are not generally given to, are not permissible to contemplate too much upon. Ve'yikova, because you will be burnt. And certainly this applies to this awesome matter. Ein hadover omor, all of this that we're speaking and we're talking to, who are we talking to? Obviously to us. Elah lechacham, to a wise person, umevin medatoi, who has understanding from his own knowledge, pnimius, internal things, ha'inyan b'shi'ura de liba, levad, that can understand it to some degree with his heart, b'ratzoi v'shov. And again, in this aspect of ratzoi v'shov, get a glimpse and come back, Lehal have bezeh toyar liboy la'avodas hatfila. And only for the reason where we're not just here to figure out what is this Hashem is the place of the world. Let's meditate on this idea and become holy and spiritual because we want to become holy and spiritual. No, because we are servants of Hashem and we want to use this in order to properly daven, right? We halhev bezer, in order to inflame via this study the service of our prayers. But too much contemplation on these topics is a great danger. And that's what we mentioned before from Sefer Yitzirah. If your heart runs, meaning you start constantly delving into these ideas, shuv lamakom, return to the place. And that's like I will mention this again in the future in the 6th parak. Okay, so let's just continue a little more. This is not. Ube'emes ha'isi mainei atzmi. We read from this before. Ube'emes, in truth, ha'isi mainei atzmi miledaber binyan zeklal. I should have kept myself from speaking in this matter at all. Ki harishonim histiru ha'im ha'oi. Because the Rishonim, they hid this matter at all, very much. As you see from the Holy One of Hashem, the Rakeach, right, which we just brought, he only discussed this with a hint. Meaning what? Meaning all he said was that, okay, listen, the world is kind of like the way it was from before, right? Meaning, I'm sorry, not the world. Hashem is like he was before the world, because he existed before the world, and there's nothing that creates a chatzitza before him, and that's it. And he didn't fully address all of the implications of that idea. Just kind of spoke it out, right? So the Rishonim, they spoke about these matters in simple, general terms, okay? Kinemana es el rucham v'kisudover, because they were true kind of they were trusted servants of Hashem, and they did not, they don't go around spilling his secrets, so to speak, right? They don't, right? Okay. Aval shavti v'reisi, but me, I returned and I saw shekach hoya yofa lehem lefidorisem. That was appropriate for them in their generations. Aval ata, but right now, hein yomim rabim leloy moira. There are many years without a guide. V'chol derech ish yosher be'enov, and everybody finds their own way, which is straight in his own eyes. Lahaloich, to follow acharei nitias sichloi, whatever mind, his mind bends towards, whatever ideas or ideology or some philosophical ideas that his mind dreamt up. V'chol yetzer machshavos lev ha'odam, and all of the yetzer of the thoughts of men, molei rak le'uf b'machshavtoi, only is interested in just to be lifted up in his thoughts, but towards whatever he, dreams up. Al kulam, and which above all of them, shezet Torah's kol ha'odam, that they say this is the purpose of man. V'nasa moshel gam b'fik silim leimor, and so they use this even in the dumbest of the dumb. They say haloi b'chol mokom b'chol dover hu alakus gomer. Don't we say, listen, we dreamt this idea that every place is Hashem, right? We just said that Hashem fills the whole world, so every place is alakus gomer, is complete godliness, right? Divine is everywhere. Ve'enam v'libam, and their eyes and their hearts kol hayomim lahamik ula'ayin b'zeh. They want to find Hashem, everywhere, in every space, in every place. They want to just sit and contemplate upon this idea. Even the youngest of the young, that they establish all of their kind of learning through this, and all of their actions on this one idea. Right now he says, and really, how careful a person has to be in this. And he has to guard his nefesh with, special guards. That if we should, God forbid, use this kind of a machshava, to allow ourselves that we should also be not only to think about this in theory, but also act upon such philosophies. This could give birth to the destruction. Harisus means destruction. Kama Yesoidus, of basic foundations, HaTorah HaKadosh, of our holy Torah, Rachmana litzlan. Ubenokal, and it's very easy, Yuchel lehiloked, a person could be easily captured or stumbled, Bereshas HaYetzer, in the nets of the Yetzer Hara. Shiyar Eloi HaTorah, he'll find himself permissions, Al Pi Machshava Zu, via this kind of thinking. Derech Moshel, for example, Lahar B'divrei Torah B'shat Nefesh, in great meditation, he'll allow himself to contemplate in the words of Torah b'mekomis hamitunofim, in places that are unclean. Because he now understands that really everything is total godliness. God is everywhere. It's very spiritual. So I go into the bathroom and I learn Kabbalah in the bathroom to show that even here there is Hashem. And our sages they criticize this very much. To such a degree, meaning they kind of predicted this, they had a feeling towards this, so they took very strong words against such ideas, right? That to such a degree to say that a person like that will have no chelik to Olam Haba, right? Rachmana litzlan. Kamashikasu b'brachas, like it says in the Gemara in Brachas, shebiklal, this is included in the pasuk Dvar Hashem Baza, right? So the pasuk says in Dvarim that, right, the word of Hashem Baza, he, like from the word bizayon, he, what's the word? He cheapened, not cheap, worse than cheapened. He, not embarrassed, but disgraced. There you go. All right. So there's an idea of disgracing Hashem, right? So you think, what are you doing? I'm doing a holy thing. I'm taking the words of Torah and I'm showing that everywhere is God. So I'm elevating Hashem. And in reality, no, you are disgracing Hashem, right? And the Gemara says in Brachas that that's referring to even somebody who learns Torah in unclean places. And if you want to continue, this is what the sages said in Brachas, but you can continue the same pasuk that continues Dvar Hashem Baza. He disgraced the word of Hashem. He continues Hikares Tikares. He should be cut off. Upirshu zal b'perek chelek. What is the double lotion? Hikares Tikares. Cut off. You should cut off. You should be. Hikares b'olam hazeh. You should be cut off in this world. Tikares b'olam haba, and you will be cut off in the next world. But again, just an example of what mistake can arise from over philosophizing and concentrating your whole life on this philosophy of Hashem is, here, Hashem is there, Hashem is truly everywhere. And other many mistakes, if only he concentrates that his practice in action al pizeh derech, in things that are kind of only a theoretical concept for us for whatever purpose, right? So for us, it's a theoretical concept in order to improve our prayers, because we are, at the end of the day, we are here to serve Hashem, not to use Hashem for our own spiritual needs, right? It's not that, I want to feel more spiritual. Hashem helps me live an elevated life because I feel more spiritual. No, we are servants of Hashem, and we do whatever it takes. Right, like Rav Shamshon Nefesh says in the pasuk of Vayikra, right? The Vayikra, we say that the aleph is small in the word Vayikra because it compares, Moshe is compared to Bilam, because by Bilam the lashon is Vayokar Elokim El Bilam. Hashem appeared to Bilam, and by Moshe it says Vayikra El Moshe. He called out to Moshe, and the difference is that Rav Shamshon Nefesh says the difference is that Bilam was Vayokar, again, not exactly like everybody explains it. Vayokar was the way that Bilam was able to work himself up and through his meditative methods to get, an audience with Hashem. That was his koyach. Moshe also could do that, but Moshe did not. Moshe stood by the door and waited for the call. Vayikra. He waited for the call. I'm not here to kind of reach out to Hashem because I feel I want that connection. I am here to be ready for the connection. Whenever Hashem wants to talk to me, I'll be ready, right? So over here also, that's the problem. The problem is that people often use this spirituality to fill their own, their own kind of selfish interests. Which is ironic because you're taking something that's pure and you're kind of making it impure by using it towards your own goals. So over here, that's the problem. The problem is that if you take this kind of theoretical conceptual ideas, which is important to know in order to be a better servant of Hashem, you can, and if you take them to action, it will lead to improper action. So this is what brought me inyan. This is what kind of brought me to speak about this matter. In order to distance people from mistakes that could arise from this. And to understand clearly in order to understand clearly what exactly our sages, our rabbis hinted to us in their words. And really all the ways of Hashem are straight. So that's a pasuk. And it says over there that, right, tzadikim yelchu bom, or chasidim yelchu bom. See, it's interesting. Tzadik, right, okay, so this is another jab at Hasidim. That's another jab at Hasidim. I think the original jab comes either from Noida B'Yehuda, or the Shaigasari, I don't remember, probably Noida B'Yehuda. He also wasn't too happy with the Hasidim of the time. So the pasuk says like this. The pasuk says, Darkei Hashem Yisharim, the ways of Hashem are straight, right? Tzadikim yelchu bom, tzadikim go in them, urashoyim yikoshlu bom, and the wicked ones stumble in them, right? So this is a very important pasuk in general in Hashkafa, that in the ways of Hashem, if a person is a rasha, meaning his essence, he didn't purify his essence, he will stumble in the actual ways of Hashem, right? And that's what he's referring to in basic meaning here. Is what he's saying is, Darkei Hashem Yisharim, the ways of Hashem is straight. So if you want to understand the true ways of Hashem, they're open to you, right? And that's why I want to teach you those ways of Hashem. But I think that one of the tshuvas of Noida B'Yehuda, where it was something against the Hasidim also, I remember what it was that he didn't like. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was in the tshuva, Hasidim initiated the concept of saying L'Shem Yichud before mitzvahs. And he didn't like that, because he felt that it takes away from the bracha. It's already the whole purpose of the bracha is in order to connect the action to the spiritual source. Good, right? Hasidim added a new line. This mitzvah that I'm about to do is in order to unite Yud K and Vav K. Right? Again, nowadays we're all Hasidim, as we said before. Everybody is L'Shem Yichudin all the time, which maybe it's a good thing for us. Right? But in those days, he didn't like it, so he ends off that tshuva with the pasuk of Darkei Hashem Yisharim, Tzadikim yelchu bom, Tzadikim will go in them, but Chasidim yikoshlu bom, and Chasidim will stumble in them. So, so I think maybe over here, he is playing on that same idea as well. And then again, ve'eis lasos, and it's time to do. So again, this is the end of the Maseches Brachas. There's a concept called eis lasos, a very important concept in Judaism. Also, eis lasos means a time to act. A time to act, meaning sometimes you do have to. So it's ironic here. The irony just hit me, but it's ironic. But eis lasos Hashem means sometimes it's time to do something that is inappropriate in order to act, in order to save the Torah. Right, so this pasuk ve'eis lasos Hashem heferus eresecha, they have loosened the Torah. So sometimes you have to act inappropriate. Like for example, the typical example is that Eliyahu in Har Carmel, he took and he brought karbonos on Har Carmel. How's he allowed to do that? The Torah is a clear prohibition against bringing karbonos outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Right. So how is he doing this? Right? Okay, but he felt that it's important to Kiddush Hashem over there in Har Carmel, neutral territory, whatever his cheshbon was. It's only a temporary thing, a temporary exception to the rule. So he's saying, he started out this chapter saying that, listen, all the Rishonim, they never spoke about these issues because all of the dangers that could be brought. Right? But why am I speaking about them? I'm speaking about them because I see all of these people are constantly thinking about these things, and they're getting the wrong ideas out of it. So I gotta set them straight. So it's a time to do
what needs to be done.
to do what needs
One
to
of
be
those
done.
actions.
But it's just ironic is that in this chapter he's saying you cannot you cannot go against the guidelines, the settings of the Torah, with your thoughts that but I see I see God everywhere. So you can't go against the strict walls of the Torah, even though but I see the picture, I see the big picture, and it's all Hashem is everywhere. And then he kind of does the same thing. So the difference is, what's the difference? The difference is, like the Gemara says over there, Eliyahu would, if you ask him, is this the right thing to do, to bring the korban on Har Carmel? He would say, no, this is absolutely the wrong thing to do, and I'm only doing it now as an exception to the rule in order to fix the problem, right? If you ask those people, is this the right thing, they would say, well, of course, this is what Hashem really wants. Hashem wants you to do whatever actions that they were doing at the time. We probably don't even know, but whatever, so he is taking a detour for whatever reason. He needs to take the detour in order to fix the problem, which is they have it as a permanent problem. He's taking a temporary detour, and they're taking a permanent detour, not detour, but a permanent diversion. Okay, stop here.